Hello everyone and welcome to the Q1 2019 Dev Update. We're really excited to be sharing with you everything that we've done over this quarter. Last time we had a video, we were showing you the screens and what we envisioned the platform to look like, and now we'll be showing you the first version of the beta. Now, as we go through this, please remember that we will be adding extra features throughout the rest of this year, and the system will be evolving into the future. And with that, let's begin. The user story would be that you'd come in and register. Let's say you were a seller, you go through, create an account, name, your business details, bank details. I'll just click cancel here, seeing as we've put nothing in. And we'll begin with the seller. So let's say we've got a seller come in. We've already got a seller loaded into the system, and I'll go through exactly what this dashboard has. So we've got here a quick snapshot of everything that's going on in the business. We've got the open invoices, that's how many invoices are currently been created, 5,500. We've got how much money is outstanding against loans. So right now, this seller doesn't have any loans. The average interest rate that this seller has been getting, so 16.17, you'll see that there's already been some advances against other invoices. We've got the total verified right now. So these are invoices that are only verified, they haven't been lent against yet. And we've got the total overdue. So these are invoices right now that are past their due date. And then we've got total funded. So that's the amount of invoices that they have had funded. So looking here, we can see in below this in the dash, we've got the most overdue list. So just one invoice overdue at the moment, 7 days over. We've got the recently paid invoices. So this person can see that which invoices have been paid and the activity that goes through when something has been paid or verified. This is just like a quick way for you to see what the most recent things that have happened. And we've got a little chart here that shows the cash flow coming into the future. A lot of businesses that we've spoken to, we would like to be able to see and plan ahead so they can think about if they do need to borrow money or if the payments coming in are going to be enough to keep their balance going forward. Clicking here to invoices, we can see all of these sellers' invoices and a snapshot again of what each invoice is in relation to its funding cycle. So whether it's been funded or unfunded, whether it's been verified by the buyer, if it has been verified, if it's been positively verified or disputed, or pending means we don't know if there has been a response yet. The due dates, red if they're over, gray if they're not yet. And then the status, so that's whether or not submitted, so it's going to be potentially funded, or whether it's been settled, which means that it has been funded in the past and all the payments have been made against it. So let's go through and create a new invoice. So let's say we're going to create a new invoice here. We'll use some of the pre-populated fields from a past invoice. Invoice date today, let's make it due in a month. Let's say we've got 100 users at $10 a user with a 10% tax rate. So what you'll see here is request verification. So a seller would, if they pick this request verification, it will go to the buyer to be verified. This is an important step in our system. It will greatly reduce the risk and reduce the rate. If an invoice is verified, if it isn't verified, or if it's not sent for verification, it may not be funded at all. The next button here is to choose whether or not you want to actually borrow against this invoice. So not all invoices will be borrowed against. You don't have to borrow against every single invoice, and you don't have to borrow the maximum amount. So the maximum amount being 80 there. So let's say they choose to borrow the maximum amount. You can see here the 1.1% fee. That's $12.10 in Invox tokens. We've got the estimated interest rate for this invoice, the amount that they'll receive. You can see here that we're also creating an invoice. So rather than integration with another system such as MyOb or Xero. So we've got the invoice details all been entered through, agree to the terms and conditions. You can save it as a draft, but for this scenario, we'll just go ahead and submit that one. So now I can go through and click on that invoice, have a look at the invoice itself. So you can see here all the details that we've put in. We can see that it's pending. So it's awaiting a verification. If we had made a mistake and this invoice was wrong, we could always cancel it. But let's just leave this here, and we can log out and go and see what the buyer sees from their perspective. So now I've logged into the buyer's dash, so we can see what the buyer can see from the other side of this. We've got all of their invoices outstanding right now, so the amount that they owe, what's due currently, and the payments that they have already made this month. So they may have just the one seller on the Invox system, they may have several, but in this scenario, they've just got the one seller. We can see the amounts that they've verified, how much money is overdue. So of course this marries up with the other one because we've only got one seller and one buyer right now. We can see here commercial credit services, right? There's that owing amount, 7 days overdue. We can also see the activities here. Very similar to what the seller sees, it's just the other side of the coin. And we can see here instead of the forecast payments, so this is money that they have to pay rather than money that's coming in. So a little bit of the reverse side, but a very similar view. Going to invoices, so they'll just see the invoices allocated to them and invoices that are outstanding. So that invoice 9 that we just created, we can go through here. We can have a look at it. We can also click to either dispute or verify. So we'll go through, read this all. Let's say we're happy with this. Yes, we did obtain all of these services. I'm going to go through, click verify the invoice. Okay, so now we see that the invoice is verified. We can toggle back the invoice details there if necessary, and we've got a payment method. But we're the buyer, we don't want to pay straight away. So what we're going to do is we're going to log out here, and we're going to see, we'll follow this all the way through with an investment and a settlement. So we can also see here that the total verified's gone up because that invoice has now been verified. So logging out, we'll now log in from an investor's perspective. So the investor screen does look different. We're looking now at one specific investor and the different investments that they have made. We can see here the different IDs. So these are all separate investments with different conditions. So we can see here there's different rates depending on the different conditions that the investor has put in. We can see the end date, so the investor wants their money back by the end of the financial year, so end of this financial year, and then there's one investment that's going through to the end of the calendar year. We can see that some have already earned some interest and have already paid out some fees to Invox as well in Invox tokens. So what we can do is we can go and have a look at all the different investments as well, but we'll create a new investment. So let's say we want a high return maturing at the end of the year, and we'll put down $2,000 against that. Let's say the industries that we are happy with, we will go IT, retail, construction. We agree to the terms and conditions and we submit that. So it's $2,000 at a high return, so over 15%. Okay, so the system is estimating that based on the current invoices that we'll probably be able to get as an investor around 18% on that. That's obviously an estimated rate. You'll see the real rate as the interest comes in, and that really depends on how long invoices are held for before they're paid. So we've got right now an extra investment in there, and we can see that so far we've earned almost $800, but right now we don't have any cash available, and there's nothing invested. So what the system will do is the system will allocate investments. It allocates those regularly, and will come back and once the system has allocated a specific invoice against that investment. Okay, so we're back. The system has allocated that $880 invoice against this specific investment down here. So we can see it's gone down by $880. We can see that that's now been invested. So 4% of the cash has been invested. Right now, no interest and no fee. Now, that's because it's been less than a day. It's only been a few minutes, and nothing has accrued yet, nor has settlement occurred yet. So we'll log out and we'll go back to the buyer. So let's say the buyer, it's been 30 days, and the buyer has decided that they're going to now pay this invoice off. They can go through, Number 9, scroll down, pay by credit card. Let's just say they paid by credit card. Complete the payment for $1,100. All right, paid in full. Now, for the purposes of this video, we've obviously paid it on the same day that we've raised it. So if we do go, we'll go on the dashboard here. We can see that the overdue has dropped back down. We've only got that one invoice from the very beginning that's still outstanding. But if we go down to the investor, we can see that money, that 880, has come back. But because it was held and paid for on the same day, no interest is accrued and no fee has been paid. But we have seen that the money has come straight back in. So if that does happen, if there is a scenario where you have someone that's borrowed against it, but it's come back exactly the same day, or in this case in minutes, you can see that the effect is basically as if we hadn't lent money against that. Logging back out, we'll have a look at what the seller sees on their end. So they'll see that that invoice over here has been verified, 256, and paid at 3 p.m. Going through to the invoices, we can see that it was fully funded, it was verified, it wasn't overdue, and it did in fact become settled. And that means everyone's gotten their money back. And of course, the seller has received the difference. So they got their initial 80%, and then they got the 20% minus any fees back, which in this scenario, no fees and no interest, so they got the entire amount back. So that's really the whole cycle gone through. We'd like to invite anyone from the community to come and give us some feedback on how we're going so far and what you think. If you've got any questions, please feel free to jump onto any of our socials, post a comment in the link here, go to our Telegram. I'm there whenever I'm awake. And feel free to interact with us. We love hearing what the community has to say and interacting with all of the different members from all over the world. It was just Harmony Day recently, and it really always excites me when I think about the fact that we've got 44,000, just over 44,000 different addresses that hold Invox Finance tokens from over 40 countries in the world, that we've got staff in several cities, partnerships in the US, in Europe, in Asia, and back home here in Australia. It's fantastic to be part of such a global community where everyone is behind the cause to help small business owners with low interest loans and to bring them into the crypto community by providing them with a platform which helps bring together sellers, buyers, and investors using dynamic invoices, loan fragmentation, and automation to provide a seamless experience.